things that we were doing at that time, and that led to an enormous amount of frustration among the people who had helped build the business, including me, who actually began looking for other things to do. So in my mind, it's kind of connected with that, and then so I think the department, in my perception, sort of drifted a little bit, but then kind of found its stride again with PPPs, and of course this squares very well, perfectly really, with the IFC 3.0 theme that we're looking to pursue now, where we're trying to create businesses and markets.
So you basically, I guess part of the reason you left around that time was because you were looking for some new challenges? You thought the department's sort of challenges were, I mean, there wasn't much of an opportunity.
Well, for me, there was another thing that happened. So I stayed in the Czech Republic until '94. This was at a time when, unless you were a resident representative out in the field, somebody thought there was something wrong with you if you wanted to be out in the field. But my experience of the IFC culture was, first of all, the business, and second of all, the culture were much more interesting when I spent my days in the markets I was working in facing clients than facing people and bureaucracy in Washington. So, but my director, came to me and said, well, if you don't want to be in Washington, you're really not an IFC kind of guy. And he pretty much, I mean, literally in those terms. And
the opposite of what came later, right? So if you don't want to go to the field, we might not
right,
be interested
right.
in
So he forced the issue. And after a year or two, which I felt I owed, I was saying to myself, well, either I need to go back to the field or find something else in IFC or leave IFC. So at that time, though, there was the beginning of the push to go out to the field, and the LAC group decided it wanted to put people in Brazil. So I put up my hand and volunteered to the director at the day, but Sao Paulo. Okay. And I interviewed with them, and they said, yeah, we want you to come. And then he called me about 3 weeks later and said, well, unfortunately, we can't figure out how to do the package for relocating people or deal with the cost things, so we're not going to do this, but please come to our department anyway. And I thought, well, I do speak Spanish reasonably well, but I don't speak Portuguese. So, I mean, how credible am I covering one of the world's biggest emerging markets sitting in Washington, doing regular regional deals? But at the same time, I had worked with SAC in the mining group, and that is a global business, and you can do it from Washington. And I knew, as many people do, that especially at that time, it's more important to pick your manager than your business. So that relationship was good. So that was kind of a fit for what I could do at that time. And I decided to give that a shot for a while to see what IFC's investment business was like.
And did you feel a little bit challenged by that move? Because, I mean, obviously on the CFS side is mainly an advisory business. Maybe we don't get into the sort of nitty-gritty investment analysis. I mean, we do financial models and we need to understand the business that we're selling, but maybe not as rigorously as making an investment or a loan. So you needed to sort of catch up on that, or you moved into it easily? Well, you had maybe the Wall Street background helped. I don't know.
Well, I had the Wall Street background. I mean, we were working on corporate deals in CFS at that time, so yeah. I felt no challenge on the technical side. The technical challenge was to learn the mining business, okay. which is quite different. So I launched into that quite intensively. But other than that, I didn't find the transition difficult. But I also didn't know the IFC process and culture in the investment business. That was probably more the big shift, because in CFS I went to Prague. You didn't have the internet then, so it was your telephone, your desk, a computer, and the fax machine. You talked to DC every once in a while as you needed to do. You didn't have that many hours of overlap, so it was kind of on your own. I was doing very much the business I had done before. In the M&A business while in Prague. I mean, I got to learn IFC a bit better when I came back. So anyway, it was not much of a transition.
I mean, and eventually, you've essentially morphed in your later career into a risk officer. You're chief credit risk officer now. So that's kind of like CRM to CRM, and a lot of number analysis and business scale. I mean,